us traverse the cosmic timepiece. We live in a realm of duality, and we live in a realm that is very magical. And although magic, in essence, is quite mysterious, there are ways in which you can lift the veil, and by doing so, you can become a part of this tapestry of the cosmic timepiece. When you are part of the tapestry, you're then able to make your life somewhat more compatible with the energy fields that flow through the universe. We're moving into a very powerful energy field currently on our time on Earth. It's very potent, and there's much talk in many videos, including my own, on Earth changes. But what we have to recognize too is, as we are approaching ultimately the end of 2012 in about a year, all of the planets in this particular solar system are going to be in an alignment. So every one of these planets are being affected by this energy that's it's almost like a needle of thread that's kind of pushing itself or magnetizing itself right into the sun. So if you and I are feeling all of these Earth changes, and they're pretty potent, let's not forget that the other planets are being affected by this as well. An example, the fabulous red spot of Jupiter, the beloved red spot. It's a famous, well-known storm that floats around Jupiter. It has, as of last year, disappeared. What on earth? It's gone. Scientists can't be sure what caused it, where it went, if it's still there and we just for some reason can't observe it, but it's gone. So there's an example of Jupiter, the vacuum of the solar system, losing its ever-present southern hemisphere storm. Now can you imagine what's happening on Venus, Mars, the asteroid belt even, Vesta, Chiron? All of these energy fields are being affected just as intensely as Lady Gaia, Mother Earth. But everything is cyclic. It's all cycles. And once you understand that it's cycles, you have on some level demystified it just a little bit, because then you realize that this happens over the course of millennia. In some cases, though, with the moon phases, it happens every 2.5 days. So these things happen all the time, but this particular phase we're in now has not occurred for a very long time. Some could probably date it all the way back to Atlantean times. Something very unique is happening. But again, once you place yourself in the magic of the cosmic timepiece, your life becomes more compatible. An example, if you were, here's something on the mundane level. If you were getting your hair cut and you wanted it to grow in nice and thick, let's say if you have thinner hair, get your hair cut during a waxing moon. And generally speaking, you'll have thicker hair. I always get my hair cut during a waxing moon, and I'm no kid anymore. But considering I'm no kid anymore, I've got fairly decent hair because I get my hair cut during a waxing moon. But of course, the reverse is true. If, let's say, you have wild, untamed hair, you probably would want to get it cut during a waning moon. Therefore, it could grow back more in alignment, a little bit more, maybe thinner. Very unique phenomenon. When we think in terms of the moon, however, if a little dead asteroid like the moon is affecting the tides, and it's affecting our minds, where, 85-90% water, it's affecting animals, sometimes it's affecting those who have disturbances in the synapses of their brains. If this dead asteroid is even affecting, they say, the cycles of a woman, imagine what the larger planets that we see as stars in the sky, imagine what effect they're having on us. Last night, during a full harvest moon, I wanted to do a magic protective spell of sorts over the quadrants of my property, just to keep it in white light and to attract positive energy. So, this is the week of Saturn and Jupiter being the two major brightest stars in the night sky with the full to waning moon. So what I went out there and said my prayers to the celestial bodies, grasped in my right hand the moon, and in my left hand Jupiter. And after saying a prayer to both planetary energies, Jupiter, the planet of abundance, and the moon, the energy fields of silver and intuition, I then pulled them into my third eye. It's sort of like a ritual, but ritual creates results. The key is, treat everything like it's holy. I do, and I think that for the most part you do too. We all should. For instance, if you start treating even taking out the garbage as holy, then you can certainly start to treat the greater sacred things as even holier. Here's an example. When I burnt frankincense, fistfuls of it last night in the backyard, and did a gigantic magic circle around the property to create that beautiful protective light. This isn't just any old frankincense, and by the way, they're called frankincense tears. I didn't just get them from any old place, and you can go just about anywhere nowadays and find a bag of frankincense. It's important to me to get this from people that I feel are sacred, that are holy, that are goodly. So I buy my pounds of frankincense from a Muslim woman who I absolutely love. She prays for me all the time, every week. She's very sincere. And you know when you look into someone's eyes who's sincere and who's just saying they're going to do some long distance thing for you and never really do it. She means it. She wants to know how I'm feeling every week and if there's improvement and if I'm well. So I buy my frankincense from her. And therefore, when I put that on the charcoals and it starts to billow out all around me, I feel also her intention, her prayer, her goodness. She's a sweet woman and she's real. So as that energy field and it billows up into the atmosphere, and I am going into each direction of the property, starting with, in this case last night, the north, because there's been a lot of borealis experience due to the solar flares that we're having this year. The solar flares have been phenomenal. Went to the north first, then the south, then the east, then the west. But I would hold my tripod of incense burning, and with my sacred breath, blow the energy fields out into the corners. Maybe even what I did last night is make sure also the secondary quadrants were all blessed as well. I even went to the fallen branches of the oaks that recently had been sacrificed in the storm and blessed them as well. Blessed the oaks, for rather than falling on the house, they just dropped some branches. That alone was I was very thankful for. In fact, since I've lived in this house, the sign I have on my front door says, "Be thankful always." It's a motto I try very much to live by. We all have perhaps had tragedies that have befallen us, but rather than dwell on them, it's more important to dwell on every reason that you should be grateful. By doing so, and via the laws of attraction, you draw all of this good energy to yourself, and that's important. So, in this case, the moon. Now, you don't have to be like me, who's very ephemeric-oriented, almanac-oriented, astronomical, and astrologically inclined. I like to know even down to the second when these planets are doing what they're doing. Today, Venus enters Libra. On Friday, Pluto goes direct after being retrograde. At the beginning of the week, we indeed had the full harvest moon. So there's a lot of things to know just in one particular week. The moon's waning today, actually. It looked full tonight to most people in Aries. I know all these things, but you don't need to. You just sometimes need to just live your life, go outside and take a look up at the stars, and there's, in awe, that beautiful bright light full moon. And speaking of moons, by the way, as the moon goes through its 2.5 days every month of a certain astrological sign, it starts to impart a certain, well, more than a certain, a lot of information to us about how to conduct ourselves, what to do, what to plant, when to have teeth filled, when to do whatever. Here's an example. When you want to seek divination, seek a psychic, the best time to do so is when the moon is in Pisces. Most psychics are at their prime in a Pisces moon, and this Pisces full moon, primo. Also a very good time to seek divination is when the moon is in Scorpio, because Scorpio is very good for psychic, what's the word? Not discovery so much as, investigation. Investigation. So if, let's say, you've lost something, it's a good time then to choose a Scorpio moon, if you're aware of such things, or you could ask your psychic. I would say for the most part, a good psychic should know these things. Ask them when is a good time for you to be ready, what's compatible with your chart. As another example, when the moon is in Gemini or Virgo, it's very cerebral. So if you have matters that would, let's say, pertain to schooling, education, or your children's education, this would be a good time to seek divination. I spoke before about filling your teeth. When the moon is in Capricorn, Capricorn generally rules the bones. Therefore, that might not be such a great time to see a psychic, but it would certainly be a great time to see the dentist. In fact, Capricorn moons even rule dealing with authority figures. By the way, it would not be a good time, though, to provoke authority figures, but rather to maybe make a good impression on them. I could go on forever. So there is the music of the spheres, and the planets, and the asteroids, and the moon, and all these energy fields that coincide and create something quite magical, their own magical tour. But there's also the wheel of the year. That's a major cosmic timepiece, the seasons. We're filming this particular video at the very last gasp of the summer, and now the great breath of autumn will begin. It's a very powerful time of the year. So here we still have the lushness of summer, but we're moving into the introspective moments of autumn. It's really quite beautiful. Every season, of course, is, but it's important to be able to also plug into those energy fields as well. So we're approaching then in autumn Libra. I'm sorry, it happens actually in Virgo. Cusp Libra, then Scorpio. Then even Sagittarius is still, some people think because it's December, it's a winterized energy field. It's actually the last energy fields of autumn before winter begins. And then after that beautiful flaming orange of autumn, we get that beautiful, cool blue energy field that the winter brings us, cusping from Sag to Capricorn to Aquarius to the baby's breath of Pisces. And then, magnificently, all of these flowers burst forth from an earth that's singing in flowers. And we still are in, of course, Pisces, cusping into Aries, Taurus, Gemini, when all the roses bloom. Then we move into, of course, back to that gorgeous, plentiful, summertide energy field, Geminian, but then Cancerian, Leonine, and Virgoan. But when you understand all of the implications of the signs, from, let's say, as we said before, the cerebral sense of Virgo, the feasting of Cancer, the practicality of Capricorn, I hate to say that it's the hunting season of Sagittarius. That's probably the hardest pill to swallow, being so in love with deers. But the whole notion, though, of maybe not necessarily, God forbid, killing an animal, but rather thinking in terms of hitting the mark, like the goddess Diana, who ironically has always been perceived since history with a crescent moon on her forehead, as she and her hounds are out in the forest hunting for answers. There's so much knowledge to embrace, and I love it, and we all should. It's what makes life exciting. So whether it's your study of gems and minerals and crystals, whether it's your study of aromatherapy and these essences and octaves that create energy and create peace, whether it's the music of the spheres and the planets and all of their different placements in the cosmic timepiece, in the wheel of the year, in the wheel of our own age. We, like the goddess Diana, are always searching. We're searching for understanding. We're searching for peace. We're searching for knowledge. And it never ends. Just like the universe itself, that one day simply exploded, and we know, scientists know this now to be true, that it is forever pushing further out into the reaches of the ethereum. We'll never really catch up with it. It's going so fast. It's actually accelerating. Time is speeding up. So is our thought processes. Haven't you noticed lately? I certainly have. That when I have a seed planted in my mind late at night of an idea, I'm able to put that on paper or put that out to you guys on Facebook instantaneously. Something that maybe 20 years ago would have taken me maybe weeks to kind of put the whole idea together. I'm able to just channel it now in a moment. I think we're all living right now in these accelerated magic moments. It's wonderful. So my hope for you is also my great desire that we have more time to keep searching for information. And speaking of searching for information, let's do it through the divination deck. And there they are. Okay, let's see what they have to say. They've never steered me wrong. Now, again, as I've mentioned in sometimes other videos, I'm a skeptic by nature. I'm not just believing every single thing that I embrace because it's New Age and therefore it's the truth. They have to be tried and true. I've lived a pretty full life already, and I know what rings true, and I also understand what doesn't. And I hope sometimes that what doesn't, or what's lost in the myopic, finds its way to great truth and great light. But that said, Virgo ascendant. Let's see what the vibrations have to say. Okay, so let's do a grand trine read for the beginning of the autumn, the end of summer. All right. Now, I put a vibe back already that tried to get its way out, but I'm not going to ignore this because now I'm channeling the energy field. This one pushed itself out. I can't as flippantly put it back in like I just did before. By the way, what I put in before, I'll let you in on it, was the green man, the god of the summer, the gentleman who sits by the river and languishes in a beautiful summer. But that said, let's see what wants to make itself even more pronounced. The first vibe of the Grand Trine says this: with autumn comes a new beginning. Now, I find it very interesting that with these mini reads I do over the course of this entire year now, there are just certain energy fields that will consistently suggest a certain energy. There's a lot of different vibes that can emerge, but this is one that wants to make a very bold statement. Every day is a new beginning. So, treat it as such, and you can be very thankful for each day. Each day is glorious. Every day that you open up your eyes, you are once again initiated into the cosmic timepiece. It's always going to be a new beginning. It's a new beginning now. It's a new beginning now. It's a new beginning. It's a new beginning. Every second is a new beginning. Okay, that said, let's see what the second vibrational field has to say. The second one says this: okay, it's a 5 vibrational field. It has to do with the material world. Now, the color is green, and green is the center of the rainbow. So on one level, it's trying to help us to understand centeredness. Ironically, though, it is ruled by a specific, though, configuration of stars which should not be ignored. Mercury, how we communicate, in Taurus. Now, some would say that's an opposed communication. It doesn't always make it easy to kind of express ourselves the way we would hope to, so we have to try a little harder. But the one thing a vibe like this often admonishes us not to do is, don't worry. Don't do that to yourself. Especially, by the way, about things that are material-oriented like money. For instance, you see the environment I like. My wife and I are the king and queen of tchotchkes. But I'm not attached to them. That's important. So I understand. If the heavens decide one day, if the gods decide to remove it all from my life, well, they do. But up until that moment, they're here to create beauty, to create light in this beautiful energy field, like a material energy field. So it's interesting that that comes up. The duality, man and woman, although it does show a cat. I've got the cat sleeping nearby. Troy's out of camera, watching the whole thing. He hears me though talking about him. But okay, number 5, Mercury and Taurus, communication. Let's take a look at our third vibrational field, the third energy field of the Grand Trine. Maybe the most potent of all. Is anything more potent than a new beginning? Well, the vibrational fields say this is. Kindred spirits. Who are the people in your life? That's ultimately going to matter the most. So, do you attract to yourself everyone who's a part of your life? Yes, you do. So, it's an energy you put out. I know that sometimes some of the people aren't necessarily the ones maybe even you wish that you did attract to you, but there's a lesson in them too. And some of them you love dearly, and you can't even imagine what your life would be like without them. And many, many, many years go by. This is one of the few divination pictures of mine in this deck that I haven't painted, but rather it's an old Polaroid from a long, long time ago with a friend of mine. Very long ago. And I find it very interesting that droplets of water had ultimately fallen on this old card, and as a result created orbs, or created the essence that the spirit. And as fate would have it, I was cut off as I was speaking to you, because you must respect the cosmic timepiece. This is the first video I've ever done, I've done plenty, where we're cut off while I was speaking, but such is time and the restraints of time. Anyway, briefly, what I was describing in who we attract to ourselves. The vibrational field had, interestingly, because of water droplets or something, created orbs on the image that shows those that we attract to ourselves. So the point I was trying to make was, these people in our lives matter. Even sometimes the ones we may think don't. Everyone does. And there's a lesson to be learned through the eyes and the soul and the hearts of others. So, yes, this video had cut itself off just about at the end. It's the first time that's ever happened, but that's a classic case of the constraints of the cosmic timepiece. It's at once liberated, but it's also, though, very much a law unto itself. So why do I do these videos for you guys? Because I'm part of the cosmic timepiece too. And all our time here is limited. And although we are immortal and limitless, we are still subject to time. So, I'm not getting any younger. And neither are you. Although maybe we are. It depends. It depends on how we've mastered the cosmic timepiece, and how well we've taken care of ourselves, and how much joy is in our lives, because the lack of it can be quite aging. But, you know what? Let's take one more vibrational field out. I've never done it before, but let's take a fourth vibe out, simply because the energy fields have been so unique today. The fourth vibe says this. It's interesting that it's silver. It's a color I chose to wear today. It's the appointment I wanted to sparkle in the light. When the cards appeared at my fingertips, this was the one on top, creating that delightful effect. Silver. Ironic what silver is. The moon. And I come to you, el hijo de la luna, sun.